Hey everyone, welcome back to Open featuring En Foco Inc., a nonprofit organization that supports US-based photographers of color announcing their 2023 Media Arts Works in Progress Fund awardees, an initiative organized in collaboration with BronxNet to support NYC-based early career artists of color who engage with digital media technologies. Which brings me to this week's recipient of the En Foco Media Work in Progress Fund, a New York-based director and producer with a background in film from the Tisch School at New York University. She also continues her sustainability and advocacy work in big production companies such as Warner Brothers and Paramount. Her latest work, Everyone Eats, is a documentary series that showcases the cultural and agricultural methods that people of color use to combat food insecurity and injustices in their communities. Everyone, please welcome 2023 En Foco Media Work in Progress Fund recipient, Zoe Jimenez, director of docuseries Everyone Eats.
Hello, Rhina.
Welcome.
Rhina, thank you for having me.
Congratulations. Congratulations.
Thank you.
So, Miss Tisch at NYU. and of course, because that's really, that's a proud title to carry with you, right?
Thank you, yes.
In accomplishment.
Yes, it has really connected me, and I think it helped me get into En Foco as well. Just build a wonderful connection of artists around New York City, and artists of color especially. I'm really grateful.
And so share with us how it is like going through such intensive development. Mm-hmm. You've been able to utilize that skill set into telling the stories that are dear to you.
Yeah, I mean, I've had this idea for years now, maybe 4 or 5 years, but it was at Tisch where I took an advanced documentary class, and I am forever grateful for how it helped me figure out how to do the research, how to reach out to subjects, and how to speak to them properly to figure out what we can do for each other. And it's been 3 years since I really got into the project, and I've been doing interviews since, and I'm in my newest phase of interviews now, with more coming up in October. It's been really amazing learning so much.
So you just said 3 years, which of course went ding, 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 pandemic.
Yeah. So I started out in research and development before the pandemic, and then once we started to shoot, it was very difficult, but what's a beautiful thing is a lot of my subjects focused on urban farms, and I got to shoot outside in the open air, and it was wonderful to not only be able to showcase these subjects, but also show wonderful sides of the city that you might not be able to see.
So I recognize one of the faces in an image that was presented to me, and I was curious to know like how you chose your subjects, mm-hmm. And the role that they play within this urban agricultural development.
Yeah, I think the first subject that I interviewed was Karen Washington. She is a stronghold in the food apartheid, food justice movement. She coined the term food apartheid way back, and has been one of the figureheads of food justice. I spoke to her at the Garden of Happiness in the South Bronx, and it was wonderful being in that very peaceful green space that showcased Mexican culture through native Mexican plants in the farm. And so she gives a lot of terminology and history to the film. And
she has her own farm, doesn't she?
Yeah, she does. She actually moved down to Alabama just after I interviewed her. So it was great that I caught her in New York as well.
And so, yeah, that is great. That's great. But I think what's even greater is the storytelling that you've chosen to mm-hmm. share with the world. And that is celebrating the sustainability and how to get past the insecurity.
Right, exactly.
And that is through these urban community gardens, right?
Yeah, through community gardens, through food co-ops where people can buy into grocery stores and feel a part of the community. And also making sure that the kids are educated too and they feel agency, because sometimes we forget that kids are people just as adults are, and they have a right to understand what they're eating and how to make it and where it's coming from. And when kids have agency, it really helps to foster a generation of leaders. leaders that grow into care in Washington and other sorts of food justice leaders.
So you said the word food co-ops. I'm like, wait a minute, talk to me about these food co-ops because I'm unfamiliar with them.
Yeah, there's plenty of food co-ops. There's lots in Brooklyn, like the Park Slope one, where you can basically buy into a membership into the grocery store, and it allows you to get a share of the foods at a price where you might not be able to get it at your local store down the street or a corner store. So you can have access to healthy foods, healthy meaning culturally appropriate and fresh as well.
Okay, wow. I have to absorb that for a minute.
Yeah.
Wait. I'm trying to really register the dynamics of like buying into having a share. Like, what is that, like a group, a membership? Like, what does that look like?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the things that I talk about in this documentary are community-based. And this is a community-based organization where you buy in, you pay a certain amount. Sometimes it's on a scale of what you can pay.
Right.
Because we want it to be accessible.
Right.
I'm in no means the creator of this, but
Right.
I believe
But you
that,
documented
but I
it, so
believe
you're
that
sharing
it's,
it.
yeah,
Yeah.
I believe that it's an amazing resource for people to buy into foods and get access when they normally wouldn't, and especially in areas that are very far away from larger grocery stores.
That's amazing. I
Yeah.
like that concept a
Yeah,
lot.
yeah.
You know, if there's one thing I would say that I really appreciated from the pandemic, probably the only thing, is the refrigerators, the
Yes.
community refrigerators. It really brought out another side in people
Mm-hmm.
and communities. And the agency that you're referencing with taking responsibility for each other and being each other's keepers.
Yeah, yeah.
And so I like this program because you're saying it's on a scale, right? And so, I mean, obviously they're going to have to see her film. You're going to have to see her film, right? Because she elaborates further on, but I like the concept. And this is the
Yeah.
first time I'm hearing about it.
Yeah, there's plenty of new things to hear about every year as well. As I've grown over the past 3 years, I've just learned so many new things, and so many new things have come to the surface and forefront.
And so it's a docuseries. How many episodes are there and how long is each episode?
Right now we're aiming for 5 episodes, about 8 to 10 minutes each, all about the history, community building, and mental health as well. And we want to kind of bring in Afrofuturism and celebration, and what do we want in the future, and what do the generations that we have now bring to the future, and what is their legacy?
I like that. And so Afrofuturism,
Yeah.
I like that term.
Oh yeah.
I like that term a lot.
It's exciting.
It is exciting. It is exciting, and it's exciting that you're capturing this in development, right? Because I like the independence of finding a way to sustain in living in an urban environment. Let's say, right? We recently had another guest on who is into hieroglyphics and is creating like this whole movement on top of like NYCHA buildings.
Yes.
And
Yes.
I just find the whole thing fascinating from this place of like, you know what? Let's help ourselves, right?
Yeah.
And so this Afrofuturism that you're referencing, what does that entail?
Usually it entails a new way of thinking about the African American community. And specifically in New York, it asks us to think, what will the future look like in our happiest version and our healthiest version, safest, most innovative? And it asks you to dream big and to bring things that other people might not think are possible. And whatever you might think is impossible is possible. It once wasn't. And you can bring it into fruition. And so I'm asking different food justice leaders how we can do that, and how we can get kids involved, teens, elders, the whole family, the whole community.
And so how has this fellowship that you've just been granted from En Foco moved this forward?
Oh, they've been a great help. Just mentoring me and figuring out how to allocate funds the best way, to create the best product, to connect me to other artists and to other filmmakers. The board has been incredibly helpful, giving me resources, because they've worked in situations and areas like this, but they didn't always have a name. You know, it was just how it was. And so, because they've worked on it for a long time, they're kind of passing the baton to me.
Yeah, because you're operating as digital activism.
Yeah.
Yes.
I like that. Yeah.
And so, when do you foresee this completed?
I see it coming out by the end of next year. I'm still shooting interviews this year. As you know, as winter comes around, there aren't so many farms and people don't want to shoot outside.
Right.
But that's when post-production comes in. And so I hope to have it out by next year.
Yeah, that's where your Tish training came in. Using time management efficiently.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for bringing it here to us. Zoe, congratulations once again.
Thank you so much.
And thank you for giving voices to the voiceless.
Thank you. Yeah.
All right.
Happy.
Once again, you guys, Zoe Jimenez, director of the documentary series Everyone Eats, that is in pre-production. Actually, it's already in production. And for more on En Foco 2023 Media Arts Fund in Progress Initiative, you can visit enfoco.org. And for Zoe's initiative, you can visit zoe-marie.com. You'll learn more about her other work. And of course, you can follow on up with what she's currently working on, because we're going to have to wait till next year to screen it. So stay tuned. There's more open when we return.